Yeah, I'm Eric Miscon, the publisher of EMS Now, which is a newsletter for the EMS industry. And listen, I'm here, we did some support. We've known Indic for over a year now, I think it has been. And I've been fortunate to be able to interview Vivek a few times. Good conversation. We got to know more about the business, what his plans are. And we knew that coming here was a big deal for them. And this is a big deal. This show here, Electronica, is where we're in Hall A1, where all the EMS come together every 2 years, and this is an exciting place to be. And I think Indic did a great job putting together a booth. They have a really good presence here, and from what I understand, it's being very well received. This is a busy show. This is a huge show, probably one of the biggest ones I've ever been to, and all the halls seem to be full out here. So I've been walking around doing interviews at the different ones. I always come back to Hall A1 because that's where the EMS companies are, and that's where, to me, where the most interest is. A lot of that is all components mostly, and that's important, but these are the people who actually make it all the products come together. So it's been good. It's always a good show, and people from all over the world are here. China was a good story for the last 20 years, and China has changed its own position. Years ago, they in one of their 5-year plans, stated that they would no longer be the low-cost manufacturing for the world. And so as a result, now for geopolitical reasons, a lot of companies are adopting a China plus one because you can't really get away from China. And even the companies that move manufacturing out of China are still dependent on China for the supply chain. That's where a lot of the components are still coming from. So there's still a relationship and a dependency that we'll have to see how that works out. We see things with the CHIP Act and what's going on both in the United States where I live and Europe here and what the EU's doing. So there's a big movement in that direction, but it took 20 years for everything to go to China. It's not going to happen immediately that things are going to be coming out of there. India is a good story for the last few years. I did my first market research study on India over 20 years ago, and up until about 5 years ago, it was still all very valid, I think. But in the last 5 years, probably mostly, it has really changed, and it's changed in a more positive way. I like what the government's doing with the incentives, the opportunities there, and you see a lot of movement in that direction. I think the story going forward is very positive for India. You know, I liked the message that Vivek had today, which was, you know, compare India, consider India, right? To really, for a lot of people, we have a lot of solutions from all over the world here, from a lot of regions. And I like that message because it means it's telling people, you know, listen, we're here, come at least consider us. And if you're willing to consider us, then maybe price compare us, see what we can do for you, see if this can work. For some it'll be yes, for some it'll be no. That's business though, right? The business cycle in this industry is very long. It can be 1.5 years to 2 years. So it will take time. That's why you have to do shows like this. You have to develop relationships, and you have to just start planting the seeds that hopefully bear fruit in the years to come.